Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome here as we prepare to set the starting lineup for our second race of the season, Division 2 of the NNSCRA Skittles Super Speedway Series. We're here tonight at Armory Digital Super Speedway, coming off the heels of an exciting race last week, or I should say an exciting race weekend with both divisions at Daytona. Caleb Farrell took the checkered flag, first of the season at Daytona here in Division 2, and now it's time to determine what the starting lineup is going to be for the second race of the season. If you didn't tune in to our qualifying session for Division 1 here earlier on, well, the way the qualifying session is going to work here tonight, we're going to have 15 minutes in round 1. The top 10 fastest speeds will move on to a 10-minute round 2 to determine the pole, and the remainder of the grid for the top 10. Positions 11 through 40 will be determined at the completion of this first round. First car out on track was the 14 of Eric Sadler. Eric Sadler coming off a semi-decent run, I guess you could say, last week at Daytona. Sadler was involved in a wreck and finished way back behind the rest of the pack with a car that was off the pace. Comes into this race 21st in the point standings as he has just taken the green. Expect to see lap times down somewhere around the 47s for at least some of our top speeds. And probably the remainder of the top 10 will be somewhere in the 48s. We had two drivers hit the 47s in round 1 of the Division 1 qualifying session. Keep an eye on the 96 of Caleb Farrell, who right now is locked into the playoffs as one of the 8 representatives in the chase for the championship from Division number 2. And I say locked with an asterisk because it's not absolutely certain that he is locked in. That being that we've got 15 regular season races, and we could have as many as 15 different race winners, which means we could have as many as 7 race winners from Division 2 not be in the playoffs. So right now, Caleb Farrell is tentatively locked in. Let's use that term. Got a driver that's already hit the 47s. That's the 26 of Daniel Voiles with a 47.8. Much like at Daytona last week, you're going to want to get into a pack that's going to help you produce the most speed, and preferably you want to be the last car in that pack to get the best draft lap that you can. 48.530 for Eric Sadler jumps up to 9th. We're seeing the benefit of some drivers already in packs with their lap times. Jesse Turner and Daniel Voiles working together. They just jumped up P1 and P2, but I also saw Rob Evans in the 65 was laying down some pretty good lap times. I don't know what group he's in. Here's Farrell along with Dylan Young and Keith Batson. They're in a group. Shelley and teammate Carson Gum together with Simon Bloomfield. Trying to find the 65. Well, no need to. There's the fastest car on track right there. Michael Norman running in the draft of Brock Sanford. Is that Trey Wright? I couldn't tell who the other car was there. Oh, that's the 72 of Nathan Stapleton. Kyle Langland right behind here as well, getting a nice draft lap. He might actually jump top of the leaderboard here as Norman caught up to the group. Langland's still a ways back, allowing him to be able to draft up to the bumper of the 3. I think we're going to see the first... Well, I was going to say I think we were going to see the first 46 lap time, but that was actually Michael Norman just said it a moment ago. I think he's going to get passed by Langland here, though. I could see this somewhere in the 46.6s. Let's see. Wow, even better than that. 46.413 for Langland. And we just had another driver jump up past him with a 46.373. That's Jordan Lopez. In the draft of Jeff Scott, Rob Evans, and Tristan Allen. Expect a lot of jostling for spots here, though. Wow, a lot of drivers in the 46s already. 7 drivers have hit the 46s, including Fury Gamington, William Brock, Evans, Scott, Langland, Lopez, and Norman. So this might be a faster session in Division 2, or in Division 2 than it was in Division 1. I think we only had 2 drivers hit the 46s in Division 1. I don't think this will be a faster lap time for Lopez. No, it was not, but he still holds the top position right now on the speed charts. Speaking of charts, just an update on what the playoff chart would look like for Division 2. Of course, Caleb Farrell would currently be in the 8 drivers that would be in the playoffs right now after Daytona with his win. The other drivers that would represent currently would be the other drivers that are in the top 8 in the point standings. Alexander Rowe, William Flickinger, Chris Maley, Simon Solera, Nathan Stapleton, Alex Gray, and currently holding that final spot would be Levi McIntyre. Charles Sanford just jumped up in the 46s. He's up to 5th. Keith Batson up to 7th. Dylan Young up to 8th. Farrell, last week's winner, up to 9th. And that was a pretty good pack. There it is. You can see some good lap times laid down in this group. I don't know if we're going to see anything that's going to challenge Lopez's 3.73, but maybe. William Brock's at the tail end of this pack, and we know he knows how to qualify. He started on the outside of the front row for last week's race at Daytona. Haven't yet seen last week's pole sitter, Jake Galloway, jump up there into the top 10 yet. We'll find the 23 in just a moment. I want to drop back here to the 0-1, see if he improves his lap time at all. He was 19th fastest so far, and now up to 17th fastest. 46.762, and that's a good lap time. That just shows you how fast these drivers are going around here tonight, that a 46.7 only places you 17th on the grid. And Sanford's beginning to free fall as Caleb Farrell just jumped up to 3rd. Alex Benyako jumped up to 8th. Kind of surprised that in this pack, Alexander Rowe, second in the points, hasn't jumped up any higher. 46.822, his fastest lap. That's 20th on the grid. Michael Norman was in the top 10. He's now dropped down to 13th. And Nathan Stapleton, 6th in points. He's been in this pack quite a bit, and he's only up to 17th fastest. Boy, I'll tell you what, Caleb Farrell, looking good. Gotta wonder if this is the same car they brought to Daytona last week. Remember that Caleb Farrell was actually fastest in round 1 of qualifying at Daytona, but that was actually a lap he set in a backup car, so he was not able to move on to round 2. And in that same backup car, he went on to win the race. Top of the leaderboard, Alex Gray in the 0 with a 3.65, 8 1/1000ths faster than Jordan Lopez. See if we can find the 0.8. There he is in this pack with Benyako, Flickinger, Gamington, and Simon Solera, and they're about to catch, I think, was that, no, it wasn't Jeff Scott. Who is that? Oh, that's Josh Drake in the 66. Is lap time going to improve at all? 2.60 for Gray, and Flickinger top of the board with a 2.20. And a big reason for that was he had 4 drivers behind him, 1 driver in front of him, and Josh Drake that he was catching. That's how he was able to lay down that lap. Simon Solera up to 2nd, Gray to 3rd, Benyako to 4th, Gamington to 5th. You're looking at your top 5 right there in that pack of race cars. And just like that, Caleb Farrell went from 2nd fastest now down to 7th fastest. I'll be shocked if we can hit a 45 here tonight, but they're knocking on the door. This is going to be some more good lap times laid down by this group as they remain single file. Let's see if anybody's lap time improves. And doesn't look like it. But your top 5 right there in this group, Flickinger, Gamington, Simon Solera, Benyako, and Alex Gray with 46.2s. They look pretty good to move on to the next round of qualifying. And a couple of them we mentioned were in the top 8 in the point standings, or in the top 10 in the point standings coming into this race. Flickinger 3rd, Solera in 4th, Gray in 7th, and Gamington in 10th. So big momentum for these teams. Yeah, these drivers are moving around now, and I don't think they're going to get the benefit of a lap time like they did before. The big thing that helped this group was they had that 66 of Josh Drake just a little ways ahead of them. And while they were all in a line, they were also catching the draft of the 66, which helped them out. Right now, Josh Drake at the tail end of this pack has just jumped up to 10th, so he's the driver on the bubble with about 4.5 minutes remaining. Dylan Young up in 6th, Farrell in 7th, Lopez 8th, Langland 9th, and now Langland down to the bubble spot as Nathan Stapleton just jumped up in the top 10 with a 46.383. Let's find the 72, see what group he's currently in. He's still with the same group he's been with pretty much since the start. This group's been able to catch Simon Bloomfield and Carson Gum, which I think might have helped the lap time the 72 just set. Ooh, a little congested there with Sanford and Bloomfield and Norman. And that's going to definitely slow the lap times up for sure. Oh, we had a wreck! Had a wreck on the front straightaway. That's Vince Almariego in the 65. Trying to see if he's on pit road. Smoke lingering there. I don't know if he wrecked the car enough to have to go to a backup or not. That's the big question. Our NNSCRA split cam will show you what happened. I just saw a pair of skid marks that went down towards the inside of the racetrack, so I assume it was just a spin. So he might be okay and not have to go to a backup. But we will find out. We didn't have any drivers have to go to backups in our Division 1 qualifying session. Oh boy, this is going to be a wall right here for Flickinger. Otherwise, this would have probably been a very good lap time as well. Well, maybe. Hold on. Can he get to the inside of Fitzwater and to the inside of Smith? Oh, this might be a good lap time. We'll have to see. This could be good. But I don't know if he had to slow up there on the exit of 4 for Fitzwater or not. Let's see if he improves the lap time there. Nope, it was actually 2/10 slower. Yeah, I thought it looked like he was tiptoeing around that 59, which I think hurt his opportunity to go full throttle. It was like a wall in front of him when Smith and Fitzwater were side by side. But I would look here, Josh Drake's jumped up to 6th. So he's now in line to move on to the next round. I would look at someone like Patrick Smith or Zachary Fitzwater, who are now going to get to merge with this group, who maybe in these final 2 minutes could also move up into the top 10. And that would be bad news for drivers like Jordan Lopez, Michael Norman, Caleb Farrell, who are down right now on the cusp. Like I said, I think the drivers right now that are safe to move on, Flickinger, Solera, Gray, Benyako, Gamington, and Drake. I think they're safe to move on to round 2. From Dylan Young on down, I'm not so sure. We're following the 58 and the 59 because I think in this final minute and a half, they could set down a lap time good enough to get themselves into the top 10 in speed. They're on the outside line, though, so that's not exactly great for them, but they are in this pack. Last time by, they ran in the 46.6s. Oh, they're going to lose some friends, though. See still if there's enough in this pack for them to be able to get into the top 10. Smith was 27th fastest so far. Fitzwater was 26th. And that time by, neither of them improved. They were almost a full second off their fastest lap. There's Lopez coming back out on track in case he needs to. He's currently in that critical 10th position. Benny Watson just ahead of him. 30th on the charts right now for Watson after the hardship last week at Daytona. Had a great qualifying position at Daytona. Qualified 3rd, but DNF'd out of that race. Now we got a number of drivers hitting pit road, so I think they are assuming it's over. So Lopez just might, by the skin of his teeth, be getting in to the final round. I don't think he's going to set anything better than his 3.73. I think he's just out there in case. It's like Norman's just barely going to get in as well as Farrell and Young. And with that amazing draft off Josh Drake, William Flickinger, there he is coming back out on track, is going to be the fastest here in round 1 of qualifying. We had a Toyota that'll be starting on the pole for the Division 1 race here tomorrow night in Ashland Boyd. Can Toyota sit on the pole for both of our Armory Digital races in the upcoming 2 evenings? I believe, looking at the top 10 here, yeah, Flickinger's the only Toyota. No, I'm sorry, he's one of 2 Toyotas that's going to move on to the next round. Lopez also in the 45 is a Camry. And with 5 seconds remaining, I think we can safely say session will be coming to a close here. And as we wait for the 30-second cooldown, I think that's going to do it. And it will be William Flickinger moving on to the next round, fastest in qualifying, along with Simon Solera, Alex Gray, Alex Benyako, Fury Gamington, Josh Drake, Dylan Young, Caleb Farrell, Michael Norman, and Jordan Lopez. Look at that, 1/100th separated him from 11th place, Nathan Stapleton. Stapleton will be starting 11th. Brock will start 12th. As you see on down the rest of the results from 11th down through 40th. And let's see if we got any big surprises down here at the bottom. Well, a couple of them there. Chris Maley, who is 4th in points, going to start dead last. You got Jake Galloway, who last week started on the pole at Daytona. He's going to be starting in the final row this week at Armory Digital. And a couple of other drivers I noticed down here near the bottom of the results. Levi McIntyre going to start 33rd, and he came into this race 8th in the point standings. So, and Vince Almariego, 35th. He was 11th in the points coming into this race. So a couple of drivers that are running well in the points going to have some work to do here in a couple of nights at Armory Digital. But that's going to do it here for our first round of qualifying. Let's see now who's going to start on the pole for our second race of the season in Division 2. So who's going to start on the pole? That is the question we're going to determine here in round 2 of qualifying. And also, with the benefit of going back and looking, you guys saw it courtesy of the NNSCRA split cam. I did not. But we do know that we will have 2 drivers that will be starting at the rear of the field due to backup cars. Vince Almariego is going to be in a backup car due to crash damage, and Eric Sadler will also be starting near the rear of the field due to an engine change, as we saw his engine let go in turn 4. Tried to bring it down to pit road, and car snapped up the track on him, and that's where we saw Almariego get his damage. Looks like the first car coming out is going to be the 4 of Simon Solera. And are we going to have a qualifying session here like we had earlier this evening in Division 1, where in a last-minute shot clock cheese, if you will, a buzzer beater, it was Ashland Boyd jumping to the top of the leaderboard to swipe away the pole position. What was looking like it was going to be a battle between Seth Cole and some other driver. I can't remember who the other driver was. And I did this in Division 1 as well for the drivers that moved on to the final round. It's so interesting to see how the top 10 that move on to the final round, where they're positioned in points, and just, you know, how important it is for some drivers to get a better starting position than it is for others. Of our top 10 drivers that moved on to this final round, Farrell is first in the standings, obviously with his win last week. William Flickinger is 3rd, Simon Solera is 5th, Alex Gray is 7th, Fury Gamington is 10th. So 5 of the drivers that moved on here to the final round come into this race in the top 10 in points, showing you how important track position is and how important consistency is going to be if you're going to make it into one of those 8 playoff positions here in Division 2. On the flip side, you look at the other drivers that moved in. Josh Drake, he's 13th in points. Jordan Lopez is 22nd. Alex Benyako is 24th. Dylan Young is 28th. Michael Norman, 27th. And I believe that's everyone that's transferred in. Yes, it is. So Simon Solera with a 47.855. That's the first official lap time set down here in this qualifying session. He's also getting a little bit of draft, I think, from the car up ahead of him. Well, he was, I think. But that car is now pulled away. Let's see if he improves on the 47.8, 47.662. For Solera, yeah, I think he's just barely getting the draft of Dylan Young. Just a little whiff. And again, like we did in Division 1 when we got to round 2, we got to see if there's any packs formulating. Is anyone running in any close proximity to each other? Yep, here's a couple of drivers that are going to be working together. Alex Gray and Michael Norman. Gray with a 48.083, and now top of the leaderboard, 46.891, getting the draft off Michael Norman that lap. But now Norman is going to be in the draft of the 08. There's Flickinger, who was the fastest in round 1. Jordan Lopez not too far behind him. The only 2 Toyotas to move on to round 2 might be able to work together. Fury Gamington currently with no drafting partners. There's Caleb Farrell. He's got Dylan Young not too far behind. Actually, Dylan Young just ran his fastest lap with a 47.594, and he's closing in on that 96. This could be a very good lap time for Dylan Young. Depending on if he is in the draft or not, I think Dylan Young could hit a 46.6 possibly here, maybe a 46.5. As Gray and Norman just jumped up first and second, Lopez up to third. Let's see what Dylan Young does here. This is going to be a good lap time, I think. Oh, it's only a 47.1 though, jumps him up to third fastest. Well, maybe his next lap will be a little bit better, as he is still in the draft of the 96 of Farrell. These 2 Toyotas going to work together. Flickinger right now only 8th fastest, but that'll improve as these 2 are in a draft with each other. And now Michael Norman catching Josh Drake. Ooh, I don't know if that's going to hurt his lap time or not. We'll see. He and Alex Gray catching the 66. Right now Gray has an 8.95, Norman a 9.05. Norman 46.772. And by more than a second, he now has the fastest lap. Lopez just improved. What about Dylan Young? Oh, Dylan Young. Top of the leaderboard, 46.552. Farrell up to 5th, and now we're starting to see these groups put together. Got a group of 3 here. You had a group of 2 back there with Flickinger Lopez. You had another group of 3 with Gamington and Young. Norman might have a good lap here. Let's see. Is it enough to contest with Dylan Young? No, actually. It was almost a half second slower. Lopez up to 3rd. Flickinger up to 4th. Gamington might get a good lap here. Well, he got a good lap, but it wasn't enough to even jump up into the top 5. 47.557 right now for him. Farrell ran his fastest lap. He's up to 6th. And Dylan Young was actually 0.3 slower than his current pole-setting lap. Norman's in the draft here again. Ooh, look at Alex Gray. It's going to be a good lap for him as they're going to catch up to Alex Benyako. And Gray might be able to get to the top of the leaderboard here if he keeps it in the throttle. Not quite. 46.615. Lopez and Flickinger, only 2 cars. They're not being able to really do a whole lot in terms of beating a group of 3, or now in this case a group of 4. Dylan Young's headed to pit road. I think he thinks he's got the pole locked up. But his teammate JT Bryant yesterday thought the same thing, or not yesterday, but earlier today thought the same thing. And what happened? He ended up qualifying 4th or 5th. Right now, Norman en route to maybe get a good lap time here with just over 2 minutes remaining. Let's see if he improves on his 46.677. No, he was 0.3 slower. Josh Drake was actually 0.6 slower that time. Benyako ran his fastest lap, and he's only up to a 47.106. And Alex Gray leading this group 0.3 slower than his fastest lap. So maybe Dylan Young's right. Maybe he is going to have a lap time good enough to start on the pole. Toyota tandem still working together. They're 5th and 6th, which is certainly not going to be a horrible starting position for either one of those drivers. They actually are tied for 5th. They both have run the same exact lap times, 7.88. Let's see if that breaks up here. Is one best the other, or are they still stuck at 7.88s? And they broke up. Flickinger with a 6.5 and Lopez with a 6.9. Josh Drake just jumped to the top of the leaderboard. I missed it. 46.493 for Josh Drake. I don't know what it is with these Ward Burton racing cars, but Laurent Lamount was the fastest in round 1 of qualifying for Division 2, made it into the final round, and now Josh Drake showing off the speed of that team as well. This team's got a lot of speed, it seems. See about this time. Anybody going to be able to best it? Drake is going to improve. 4.51, but Benyako, I was wondering if we were going to hear from him. 46.397. To be perfectly honest, I'm shocked we're seeing these low 40s with only 10 drivers on track. And remember what I said with Dylan Young coming to pit road, assuming he had the pole position? Look where he is now, 4th. Benyako's going to have another good lap here, I think. Running in the draft of Michael Norman. Can he hit a 46.2? I don't know. This is barely under a 46.4. So he might be able to hit a low 46.3. Let's see. Any improvement? No, actually he was slower. 46.5. It looks like right now Benyako's en route to start on the pole position. To be the first pole of the season for Flying Aces International. Alex Gray jumped up to 4th, so now Dylan Young down from looking like pole sitter down to 5th. Gamington up to 6th. And then you got the Toyotas, Flickinger and Lopez, 7th, 8th. Caleb Farrell down in 9th, and Simon Soler, who was the first car on track for round 2. The only car that's not broken into the 46s, sitting at around a 47.5. And I don't think they scored that last lap for these drivers in this group, which says to me that the session is complete and officially your pole sitter for your race in 2 nights for Division 2 of the Armory Digital Superspeedway race is going to be Alex Benyako, and there you see it. It is now official. By just about,
Drivers,
what was it, 1/100th. He was able to best Josh Drake, so they will line up on the front row. Michael Norman and Alex Gray, they'll be row 2. Row 3 will be Dylan Young and Fury Gamington. William Flickinger and Lopez, the Toyotas, will be row 4, and row 5 will be last week's winner Caleb Farrell and Simon Solera. So great run there for Alex Benyako, who came into this race 24th in the points. He will lead them to the green in 2 nights' time. And we will now take our leave from you here at Armory as we now get set for the points-paying races. It's race number 2 for Division 1 and Division 2 here at Armory. That's going to be coming up next here on the NNSCRA Sports Channel. We'll see you guys then. You've been watching a production of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best. Good evening from Armory Digital.